Hey there, super friends. This is Joey with Last Point Gaming. Today is Friday, March 2nd, 2018. So, Masters 25. Full spoilers out. I don't actually know when the set drops. I feel like I should know that, but I don't. So, end conclusion on this. One thing I want to clear up. Yesterday I talked about people using averages for, it's actually expected value, not estimated value. And I felt they should be using medians. So here's what's up with that. Husband and I had to talk about this. So when they use the expected value equation, it applies to a more macro scale. It's not the expected value for one box. It's the expected average value per box in like 100 cases. It's over a larger scale purchase. So if you were trying to predict a single box, your question was, what is the median value of a box of cards? Of a booster box? Then using the median would be a more accurate projection of what you can reasonably expect from a single booster box. So, just to clear that up. In conclusion on this set, Rudy was half right. Maybe a little more than half. I guess I gotta give him that credit. So, the mythic slots are generally underwhelming. I think husband said there's 15 mythics. There's 4? I think 4 worth real money. Yeah, you have Jace, Imperial Recruiter. Now, the caveat with Imperial Recruiter is I do not know what kind of value that card will retain. I talked about it yesterday, probably even the day before. Imperial Recruiter does not appear to be a card that is played, or at least not played often. So most of what is pushing up the value of that card is the fact that the supply of them is very, very small. He was originally printed in a small set, and the only reprint he's ever seen was as a Judge promo, which is very limited print. So, I think husband was saying pre-spoiler, the Judge promo was like $160, the original printing was like $260. The Masters version, I'm not sure I would keep that looped in the real money card because, I don't know, and I could be wrong here, because I believe Alliances is pre-modern, and I think that was the set he was in. I'm not positive because sets from back in that time, I think Alliances was before I was playing. Or it might have been like one of them ambiguous sets that was out during the time I was playing and I wasn't tracking things like sets and whatever. Like, I remember the little banner sigil. Kind of. I think I had cards from Alliances, but they were like random cards I picked up in like little grab bag packs before I, learned that those were like the worst buy ever. So, in any case, I think he was in Alliances, and I think that is pre-modern. So, there may be, I don't know, like, anything about Legacy, Vintage, or Commander for the most part. So, he might be in a Commander deck. I don't know. He might be in a Legacy or Vintage deck. I don't know. But it seems that the internet does widely kind of concur that it is not a very often played card. So I'm not sure you can count that one as a real money card. man, it is crazy windy here today. Like, weather advisory kind of wind. So, you got Jace, Chalice, Bridge. I feel like there's one that I'm missing that was an exciting spoil. But there's 15 mythics. At max, 5 of them are worth any real value. Now, the other ones aren't all straight up garbage. There's a couple in the, like $10 range. But there are a slew of them that are worth less than $5. However, the rare selection is actually pretty good in this set. And I know I did talk about this yesterday. Having a good selection of value rares kind of makes up for the kind of underwhelming mythic pool. Because in a box, I think in a master set, because in a normal set, you can look for, I think it's the average is 3.5 mythics per box. I think in a master set, it's 2.5, because you have a third less cards. But again, I'm not 100% positive, and a lot of that probably actually has to do with like how big the set is and everything else. So let's say you can expect 3 mythics per box. I feel like that's, I don't know, I've never really paid attention. I'm pretty sure we got a master's box once with like 4 mythics, and we were like, holy shit. So, assuming an average of 3 mythics per box, that leaves you 21 rare spots. So when the majority of rares that you pull are worthwhile, it's nice to have good cards in the rare spot. Also, the uncommons in this set are pretty good. Utopia Sprawl, Street Wraith, Ancient Stirrings. We have our Ancient Stirrings from the hot minute that I played Tron, but still nice to see them getting another reprint. What else was there? Boros Charm. We just bought Boros Charms for Boo's deck. That was like one of the few cards we were missing for Naya Burn. Trying to think of what else. But there are a lot of really solid uncommons in this set. Which again, you can expect. You don't get one of every uncommon in a single box, unfortunately. But you get pretty close to it. Though, I don't know, man. Like, boxes of Masters we've opened in the past, like, it took us forever to get 4, I don't even think we ended up with 4 Path to Exile. Like, I think I had to buy a single one. I think we only got 3 out of, like, I don't even know how many boxes of MM17 we opened, because we had that one bomb box, and we just kind of kept buying more boxes, hoping for another one. That was a mistake. So, no, you can't. Speculating how many of each uncommon you'll get in a box is a little rough. But also, some good downgrades to common that people are very excited about, with Pauper becoming a thing. And just cards that were already originally printed at common, but were more obscure and harder to find, but are good in Pauper. So, that's pretty awesome. Like getting Savannah Lions at common, now they're part of the Pauper field, is pretty exciting. Oh, and didn't they make Ancient Stirrings common? I think I remember hearing that. Because that's just what Paupertron needed. So, all in all, overall, decent set. I don't know the exact numbers or anything, but it's looking more and more like you can anticipate breaking even on a box. Unless you're paying like way above MSRP on them, which I doubt anybody is, because yeah, by and large, the internet still seems to think that the set is worse than Iconic Masters. I don't know about that. Now, EV or median value or any of those estimations, if you run them now next week, they're going to look a lot lower than they have throughout this week. Because news of the reprints have happened. People are starting to push down prices either for pre-orders of the new stuff or sellers that are looking to liquidate the old stuff before the new stuff is in the market and easy to access. So you're going to start seeing some downward pressure on the prices. The only one that I think is really going to stick for like a long time is that Imperial Recruiter. Now, some of the commons, because they're being printed at common, and I feel like you can almost expect to get near a playset of each common out of a box. I don't know though, like math. Yeah, I don't. That's a wild ass guess right there. But you figure almost, well, over half the pack, over half the box is commons. So, commons, well, cards that have been downgraded to common will likely not recover their full value or very close to their full value because the market is going to absolutely flood with them. Uncommon may kind of bounce back up, and like Street Wraiths were $20 a piece at one point because I'd looked into Dodger when I was looking to go to that Modern Open. I was like, man, I still got like no fucking clue what's going on in Modern. Really until Collins Mullen produced the Vile Humans deck. Modern was such a hard fucking format for me. I'm like, I don't know, there's so many decks to pick from and I don't particularly like any of them. Like, I owe Collins Mullen a huge debt of gratitude for making this a thing, and now I'm like, sweet. This is a deck I can see me sticking with for like fucking ever. I love this deck. So I'd asked Dodger, because he used to play a lot of Modern. You know, if you could pick any one deck in Modern to play right now, what would it be? And he said Jund Death Shadow. He wasn't a fan of the Grixis build. I know, because I was like, wait a minute, what colors are Jund? Because when I looked up Death Shadow, there was fucking blue in that shit. Fuck blue. And he was like, no, that's the wrong Death Shadow. He's like, I don't like that one. I like Jund. And I looked into it, and Street Wraiths were insanely expensive for what they were. But they're a key component to that deck. If WotC ever felt that Death Shadow was getting out of control and they needed to neuter the deck somehow, Street Wraith should be the first card they look at. Because it doesn't totally turn the deck off. You still got shocks and fetches and stuff to drain yourself out. But it does take away Death Shadow's biggest source of surprise. It's bigger now. Because, you know, at least with the fetches and shocks, they have to have the fetch land on the board. You know it's there. You know that Death Shadow now has the ability to grow by 3. But when you look at their board and it's like, okay, they got no land tricks up, cool, I think I can take this Death Shadow, I'm going to swing in, and they're like, surprise, Street Wraith cycle. You're like, well, shit. So it does take away their surprise factor for growing the Death Shadow. No, okay. Also, Street Wraith, you know, the life is the cost of cycling it, so they get to draw a card off of it. All around, it's a great deck or a great card that makes the deck work better. So removing it would not completely kneecap the deck. It would make it less consistent, because you wouldn't have that source of card advantage that also fed into your main strategy. And you wouldn't have that surprise anymore. So that card is absolutely necessary for the deck as it is now to have the competitive level it has now. And I think they were like $20. So for them to get a reprint at uncommon, not upgraded to rare, that's exciting. Also, Boros Charm. Pretty much any aggressive deck with red and white in it runs Boros Charms. Card's great. It's great for an aggressive strategy. It's not great for a lot of other things. Like, I don't think Jeskai runs it. Though there is a Jeskai Burn variant that may run it. But for the most part, I think it's mostly in Naya Burn, and anybody's still trying to make Naya Zoo work. Might be an 8-whack too. I'm not sure. 8-whack might be mono red though. I was watching Seth from MTG Goldfish stream that one last night. He did pretty good with it. I think he ended up 3-2 in the competitive league with it. It's definitely not a tier 1 deck, but it definitely has the potential to kind of go off. But I think it actually might be mono red, because it looked almost like Goblin Tribal. He had like Pile Drivers and Rabble Masters, but I'm not 100% positive. I only got to tune in for like the last game. In any case, yeah, Boros Charm's a great card. Trying to think of what else we got at Uncommon that I was like, holy shit. I mentioned Utopia Sprawl. That was also another one that was like really expensive, because there are a couple decks that utilize it, including Modern Lands, where you try to get Jace out on turn 2. Looks like that deck didn't really have much staying power. But I know I've seen other decks use it. Maybe Legacy decks use it. I don't know. I know I've seen that card played. So, I mean, that's pretty exciting. I feel like there was another reprint in the Lantern deck that people were kind of jazzed about, but I can't remember what it was. Blood Moon at rare. I'm personally excited to see Thalia reprinted. Not gonna lie, wish they had used the Judge promo art, because that was that the Judge promo? It was some kind of promo. The close-up of her face with the sword down the side. Yeah, that was some really sexy art. But it was some kind of promo. It might have been the RPTQ promo for one of the seasons, or GP promo or something like that. And it does kind of suck when they reuse promo art. That was like, yeah, that was one of the cool things about the promo, is that it was alternate art. Still, I wouldn't have complained, because I would love to have beautiful Thalias. Let's see here. What else was there? Man, I am just straight up drawing a blank. Unfortunately, nobody did a full spoiler recap that I could have listened to. I haven't gotten a chance to pick through them. Today was just a brutal day at work. We got some new equipment in the office, which of course took fucking forever to get everything sorted out and, you know, get everybody's settings back and all that. And man, do I have work piling up. I hate design changes. It's alright. I'm almost all caught up. Well, I'm pretty much all caught up. I think mostly next week, all I have left to do is a bunch of reviews. But in any case, because of that, I didn't get to, oh man, I don't even think I listened to the Versus video today from SCG. Seeing if, Todd reclaimed some of his honor there. It's been a bad week for him on the Versus video. Yesterday, I think they did Vintage. That was a good day for him, because he got to be on the play. I don't care what anybody says. I enjoy Brad Nelson in the Versus videos. Now, don't get me wrong. There is no SCG personality that I just love that much that I'm like, I want them in every single Versus video. I like that they cycle through them. But I do enjoy watching Brad, and I'm pretty sure it's feigned indignation when he gets slaughtered and seems to be, being super salty about it. I'm pretty sure it's an act. He does seem to have calmed down a little bit. There was a lot of comments, and I gotta say, I did notice, and him and Todd Anderson actually ended up having a back and forth on camera about it during the one match, about how, he'll screw up and be like, oh, wait, let me take that back since this is a Versus video. And everybody's like, okay, cool. But once he gets on the back foot, it used to be. And, like, his opponent would make a mistake. I was like, oh, wait, let me redo that. He'd be like, no. Which also was probably part of this, salty player facade. But a lot of people commented. So it seems like he's calmed down a bit like with that. I don't know. I did get to meet him down in Richmond, and he was super nice to me. So I've heard a lot of claims, like negative claims about SCG tour players. And I don't know. Some of them I just can't fucking believe you actually met him, and it's not, you're basing this off of they disagreed with you about something on Twitter or something along those lines. Like, somebody once told me that Jerry Thompson is an asshole, and I'm like, I can't even fucking believe that. Because one, I know I told this story a while ago, my very first open, first large tournament in quite a few years, I fangirled all over poor Tom Ross, which Tom Ross seems a bit more reserved. And Jerry kind of swooped in for the rescue on that. And at the time, I didn't even really know who Jerry was. I followed Tom Ross because he played aggressive decks, and that's what I play. I didn't really know much about any of the other SCG players at that point because he was the one I was focused on. Which, poor guy to have all my fangirl energy focused on him at one time. It's like staring into the sun for 5 minutes. It's no good. But no, he was just like super nice and super positive. And then when I ran into him down at Richmond, I said something like, hey, it's nice to see you again, Jerry. And I think he had been at the World Championship or something. And I commented on that. And like, you could tell by the look on his face, like he had no recollection of me. But he played it off as though he did. I don't know. He seems like a goddamn national treasure. Every interaction I've had with him has been highly positive. Even on Twitter when we get to pretend that the other person is not in fact real and it's just the internet. So, I don't know. Either whoever this was caught him on a really bad fucking day, and he just kind of snapped a little, or they've never actually met him. Because I just can't believe anybody actually interacted with that guy and thinks he is anything but one of the nicest people you'll ever meet on the tournament circuit. But yeah, in any case, I don't think Brad Nelson is that salty a player in general. I think it's something they do to amp the drama in the versus videos and keep things, funny. I can believe that maybe he got a little bit legit tilted with Ross last week, because Ross beat the piss out of him, if I recall correctly, which it was last week, so maybe not. It seemed like Ross had a real good run on the Versus Series last week, and I believe they actually end up playing all 5 for the following week in the same day. So I can imagine being on the losing end of a 5-round beating. By the end, you're kind of and I just never want to see your face again. But in any case, yeah, no, he was super nice when I met him. Though I have yet to meet a pro that wasn't. So, I don't know. I don't even know how I got on this tangent. But anyway, yeah, I expect Masters 25 to be a decent buy. Better than Iconic Masters. Not as good as Masters 17, though. I'm sorry. MM17 was an amazing set. And now part of that was that set was purely focused on Modern, whereas Masters 25 is, spanning pre-Modern as well. So it was more concentrated, and it was like every top-end card for all the Tier 1 decks. It was just a fantastic set all around. And it would be hard to top that set, really. They kind of jumped the shark with that one. Because they do have to be careful. Because people are only going to pay $10 a pack when there's at least some odds that they're going to pull a card that is worth more than the pack. And if they over reprint stuff, you will quickly end up in a situation where there are no cards that are worth $10. Because people aren't willing to sink that kind of money into it because they're over reprinting. Again, it's the Chronicles debacle that caused the reserve list. They just printed the absolute shit out of that set and put a lot of bomb stuff in it. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty excited about it. Can't wait for Dominaria spoilers to start. I really hope they do, the nostalgia of that plane right with that set, and it's not just a complete shithole set. That's gonna make me sad. But luckily for you all, I can stop rambling now because I am home, pulling in the driveway now, and I gotta go get everything ready and get Boo ready and everything, because it looks like I'm running F&M tonight. So, as always, if you made it this far with me, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully I'll talk to you all on Monday.